Human beings are searching for the personal experience of reality. They are seeking to come to understand themselves, to find a reason for their own existence.
And so you go round and round and round, ever chasing the illusion that there is something outside yourself, outside your here and now, to be attained that will make things better.
No guru, no method, no teacher, and no nothing else either.
The sweltering sun bears down overhead as a strong wind kicks up a cloud of grit across the open desert. We hear a voice, oddly like our own, shouting, "We got something! Come look!" Rushing over to look at what was uncovered and lying before us, we see our childhood dreams, fossilized and exposed in a durable form. Welcome, fellow phoenixes. It's safe to say that many of us have detached from ourselves over the ages. Our younger versions are safely tucked away in that box of memories, just like we eventually lost touch with our favorite toys. On my own personal journey, the path to healing just didn't take me on a trip down memory lane. It took me on an internal archaeological expedition. Let's talk about uncovering our past and exposing our mind as a child. And right now, I'd like to take a couple moments and just focus on what we're grateful for. Today, I'm grateful to honor myself as a child, connect with elements of my childhood, and also to have actualized one of the things that childhood version of me wanted to do. Now I'd like to get into a couple quotes. Your life began in the heart and mind of the infinite. Mentally relive the days when, as a child, you ran free, when there were infinite possibilities of what you could feel, accomplish, and see in the world. Allow for the energy of your remembered freedom to thunder through you, and you will free yourself from the false obstacles of your adult life. And that was said by Michael Beckwith. When you have a childhood dream that still burns and tugs at your heart when you're an adult, you owe it to yourself to pursue and achieve this dream. And that was said by Robert Cheek. I think I said Cheek right. So let me explain a little bit about this topic as it pertains to me, and then I'll try to get to it in a broader sense. So, one of my childhood dreams was to be an archaeologist, which is kind of why I put it in this form. My grandparents sold gems and minerals and fossils and all that kind of stuff, so I was exposed to a lot of those things at an early age. I wanted to be an archaeologist in Australia. And in lots of ways, what I'm doing now with internal investigation and like personal development, a lot of that stuff is like being an internal archaeologist. Like, I have to clear away all the debris and dirt and stuff blocking me from my past, because there's a lot of healing in my past. An ex-girlfriend of mine was going to therapy, and the ex-girlfriend was like trying to determine how she could feel happier. And the therapist told her to access forms of fun that she did when she was a child, or access things that like were her interest as a child. And even when I started exercising, I operated under the mentality of exercise like you have fun and connect with childhood, which is why I chose swimming. Now, granted, I haven't been doing it as much, but I intend to go to the pool today and swim. It's an indoor pool too, so the fact that it's like there's frost on the ground doesn't matter. And then like the other childhood dream that I had was writing a book. And I can remember being a kid and saying I want to write a book, and my mother saying, well, it's very difficult and it probably won't get published and all this stuff. And I'm not saying this as a slight to her. It's just what was. And for me, like, having just published my first book, I'll be right, my mom was right. It was a lot of work, even self-publishing it, and even with the access that we have to all these great resources that weren't available in the early 90s, or weren't as readily available, I should say. But it's also incredibly satisfying and gratifying to get over what was like a long imposed hurdle, was the difficulty of it. And it's like, even now I'm reformatting it for Kindle, and it's still a difficult thing. But now let's get into this in a broader sense about how you could apply this to you individually, or how I suggest that you do. All of us have dreams. All of us have probably disconnected from some of those dreams. Some of us might think that we haven't, but I'm sure that there's stuff where if we really thought about it, we could connect with something on a deeper level from our childhood and our dreams. I did this exercise that was suggested to me about like forgiveness, and you forgive yourself through these different time periods. So maybe for like our archaeological expedition, our internal archaeological expedition, what we can do is go back in like 5-year periods. So just for an example, 5 years ago when I was 29, let me see where I was at mentally. That would be 2013. So this time in 2013, I was just working and getting high and drinking. I had a lot of animosity towards women, and I couldn't really form any decent connections with them because of all these barriers. I didn't have any dreams really at that point. Moving back out west and smoking a bunch of weed, that was my dream. 5 years before that, when I was 24, that would have put it at 2008. 2008, around this time, I was working and getting high and drinking at a restaurant locally, after having moved back from like Vegas and some of the other traveling that I did, and I was intending to move to California to smoke a bunch of weed and live out there. I actualized that dream. Woo! 2003, I didn't have any dreams. I was working on music somewhat. Mostly I was just partying. That was my first year out of high school. I was just drifting through life. Let's dial it back to 98. 98, what was my dreams? I can't even think of anything that really stands out at that point. Probably wanting to write still, having less faith in it. Maybe just playing video games and not really having any dreams. 93, when I was in 3rd grade or 4th grade-ish. I guess I might have even been 2nd grade then. That was after my parents had divorced. I want to say that my dreams were still the same thing: archaeology, book writing, living in Australia. You see what I mean? Like, go back through it that way, and you can do it more in depth. I'm doing it like a quick version. Maybe even write it down. Like, sit and meditate on it. You don't have to do it in like a 5-minute period. Sit and like really think and feel how you felt at those times. And I understand that may be completely uncomfortable for some people. Unfortunately, growth occurs outside of the comfort zone. And if there are painful things, maybe you have to find somebody to talk to. You don't have to do all of this stuff alone. And if something comes up, you can talk to people about it. And if you're saying, I don't have anybody that will listen, you need to get new friends. You need to get new people in your life. If nobody will listen to you while you're going through this, if what if people think I'm crazy? You need to get new friends. I can't tell you what a game changer it's been in my own personal life to work through my past with the gentleman who is my sponsor in the 12-step program that I'm in, just because he has so much experience and the unconditional love and acceptance that's shown to me when I talk about difficult things. And also the fact that he has honesty and points out, like, it's me making a bigger deal out of most of the situations in my life than what they actually are. So yeah, like, sit down and pick apart those things. And when you identify your childhood dreams, like, view how that would apply to your life now, and if it's something that you still want, or like, what is an expression of that you might want, and how can you pursue it in a logical way. I'm not saying, like, say that you want to, we'll just use write a book because it's the easiest example available. I'm not saying that if you want to write a book, you sit down, you quit your job, and you attempt to dedicate all your time to just writing this book and think that you're going to be incredibly successful with it and you'll be on Oprah's book club and all this crap. What I'm talking about is maintaining what you're doing now in your life, taking incremental steps towards actualizing that dream. Even before that, what you have to do is, like, look at a museum. In a museum, like, when they have a dinosaur skeleton, before they attach the skeleton together, this is way back when people first started finding fossils, like the fossil war, which is a whole different topic, and it's actually interesting. I'm going off on a tangent. But they had to plan how these pieces went together to make this whole. So if you have a dream, look at the individual pieces that you would have to accomplish this dream, and work on building that structure for that dream. Make the blueprint, take incremental steps towards piecing together that dream, and then look at it constructed in a whole. And applying that to my own life. I wanted to write this book that I've just released. I had to connect all the pieces of poetry that I had. So initially what I did is I found all my notebooks, typed out all the poetry from those notebooks from my past. I had been saving documents of all the poems I had typed in the recent past. Then I had to combine them. After I combined them, I had to format them. After I formatted them, I had to proofread them. After I proofread them, somebody else had to proofread them. After other people proofread them, I had to edit them again. After I edited them again, I had to publish it in physical form. After that, and this is a step that I'm still on because it's more work than I anticipated, I realized that I wanted to put it on Kindle. Looking at putting it on Kindle, I recognized that I had to do another couple set of steps of reformatting it so it looks, not only so it can be displayed on Kindle, but so it's actually sensical on Kindle. And that's where I'm at now. And once that is complete, the next portion of like building this dream up is learning to self-promote and going around to different places and talking about my book, getting my book in front of people, getting my book reviewed. Like, finishing a dream in lots of ways actually is the start of the journey with the dream. It's like, I've gotten this tangible piece of my mind in my hand, tangible concept of my dream. What do I do with it now? So it's become its own entity. And at this point, it's almost like Jurassic Park, you know. You go back, you find this dream, this little insect in amber. You extract the DNA of it, and you put that dream in like an egg. You incubate it. That dream hatches, and then you have to let it grow and nurture it. and give it attention and let it thrive until it can become its own force. I really think that I got this down to the T. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook and you're wondering why you don't see me, I decided to see how much better the audio quality would be if I switched back to specifically recording audio and not doing video. Because when I started this out, it was about audio. And I've recognized that over time the audio quality has gone down. So I'm doing it this way. I'm just testing it out. And if it's not that substantially better, I'll go back to doing video too. Maybe I'll go back to video altogether eventually anyhow. I don't know. It's just I'm just trying something different. And if you want to support this podcast, like I've said it before, I'm not going to do Patreon. You can buy my book on Amazon, which there will be a link below. You can buy some jewelry or a shirt or stuff like that from my shop. You can buy a tarot card reading from me or some spiritual guidance. Like, those are all ways that I would want you to support me. I don't want you to just send me money on Patreon for extra content. You're not going to get extra content. Nothing's going to be behind a paywall. There's lots of stuff behind a paywall, but I don't want to put anything behind a paywall. So yeah, I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. Love and light. I hope you have an enjoyable day. I hope that the concept of internal archaeology was fun for you too. Peace.